Hey, team, welcome back to another incredible episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader Podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and I am joined today by the lovely Lacey Seibert. She is the head of go-to-market, I think, at Bushel, and a friend of mine now in the industry for probably the last decade, I would guess, right? Since we met.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to having this conversation. This is a topic that I'm passionate about, and I love that you've continued to drive these efforts and help our industry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good. You get the same opening question as everybody, though, Lacey. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question because I think it's so important. For me, that really means having clarity around the purpose that I'm living for and being honest with myself about the outcomes and goals that I want to see, so that I can really work towards those. My faith is a huge part of intentionality for me. And so being able to lift things up in prayer and seek God's guidance as I work towards things, just day to day, being able to also surround myself with people that I trust, that I can really bounce ideas off of and be open to having candid feedback from. I think that's huge because I'm not always the best meter for myself. We all get into that boat, I think. And so, again, having, like I said, that prayerful
Yeah.
um, time and also those trusted people, like my husband, as an example. I really trust his wisdom, and he also works in the same industry. And so, it's really nice to be able to think about what we're working on at work with each other and be purposeful and intentional about how we attack those things.
Beautiful. So good. So good. Clarity of purpose. I think that has so much, there's so much to be said about that. But I love what you said about faith too. I think about probably the majority of my career, I was more ego driven than I should have been, and been more reliant on the Lord to guide more of my decisions. And I know, and that almost sounds like lip service. People say that kind of thing, and what I really mean is like really like actually surrendering to the guidance and be willing to say, hey, you know what, this thing right here, this is not about me. Like, this is what you get to go do the right thing, do right by me, those kind of like, there, I have a peace now going about my business that I didn't have in my 20s and 30s.
Totally. I think that's so true. The pieces, it just is the proof for me that this is the way to go about it. But I would
Yeah.
also say, like, I think people with type A personalities who do find a lot of success, it's almost like affirming that that's the right path to go down. Like, don't surrender it, take control. You're the leader of
Mm,
your destiny. But the older I get, the more wisdom I see, and like you said, surrendering those things to him and kind of letting go. And I I've just seen incredible things happen when I do that. And so
yeah. Yeah. There's so much good happens when you kind of surrender to that flow a little bit, stop striving, right, as much, and let him take the wheel, so to speak, right? It's pretty cool, and it's been a lot of blessings in our life. I mean, our family has just flourished. I think about the way things are working for us right now. I mean, we have 6 kids in our house. Some, I mean, half, some of them are out of the house, and some of them are in the house, and one of them wants to come back to the house. But they all
also,
like us, and that's to have a blended family and 6 kids that all like each other, like their parents, like that in and of itself is a miracle.
that
So
is a miracle.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know this, I've moved around a fair amount because of that striving. I think I was so
Yeah.
early on in my career, just I wanted to do the next thing and climb the ladder and all of that. And thankfully, my family supported me in doing that, but that also meant some sacrifices, and we moved around the country and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're at a place now where we've settled down, we've bought a farm, like, and it's a whole different peaceful life than what first part of my career was, for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. How has that shifted for you more recently? Because I mean, we all go through different evolutions as we grow and evolve in our career, but just like having the place, having the farm. I mean, you're back in Oklahoma, right?
Mhm.
That kind of
Work is
thing.
home.
So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that piece for me, which I'm not gonna pretend that there wasn't a little internal wrestling match for me because it's a huge shift in my
Hmm.
um goals and outlook of what I want, what's important and prioritize and things like that. So
Yeah.
um, it's
Yep.
been really good though.
It's good. And it's like, it's almost impossible for those things to happen and that not impact your leadership and the way that you lead your team, the way that you lead your people, customers, et cetera. Like I can't, yeah.
Nope,
Big,
it definitely changes how you show up for those different audiences.
yep, absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So tell us about your role at Bushel. Feel free to give us some backstory on how you got there. Take that wherever you want to go with it.
Sure. Yeah. So before coming to Bushel, I was a Bushel customer a couple of times over. So I really believe in what we're doing at Bushel and how it's changing the ag space in terms of like how farmers interact with agribusinesses. So
Mm-hmm.
that for me right away aligned, and I could get very passionate about working on things at Bushel. But it was a little bit of a leap and trying to come together with how would I help at Bushel? What would I be able to do
Mm-hmm.
to make the most impact? I didn't really have interest in coming and just being like the subject matter expert type role.
Yeah.
Um, for me, that's a little bit like sitting back and waiting on somebody to need you. And I like to dig in and take charge. And so
Sure.
I started with Bushel working in sales enablement. I've worked in sales quite a bit throughout my career, and it's an area where I'm really passionate. And so just did a lot around helping the team at Bushel understand who they were selling to and how best to approach them, what were the problems they were facing, that kind of thing, and equipping them. But I have moved into a go-to-market role. So basically helping from the beginning when we're creating products, software products, helping the whole story to be built out so that we create those products to make sure we're solving the problems that we need to, and then
Mm-hmm.
pulling in the different teams that bring that product to market. So customer success, marketing, sales, everybody along the way, so that when we finally launch something, we're ready to really effectively take it to market.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
That
a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. So so prior to this, I mean, you were largely, I think, in the cooperative space. So when you and I met, it was grain origination,
Yep.
and it was leadership of grain origination. And I've been with you in the last two companies in, in different
Yep.
ways, shapes, and forms since you and I have known each other. So how did that prepare you for what you're doing now?
Sure. I mean, each of those different stops in the career path help you understand the different challenges of each of those roles and what they're facing, and um, even different companies for that matter, and different geographies, they all are faced with different things. And being a person that likes to dig in and learn about those problems has really helped me, I think, come with a strong understanding of how we should go sell to those folks. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
and so that's really where I think I've been able to bring the most value to Bushel.
yeah. Yep.
Um,
I think, by the way, I think that's really unique in ag tech because there is so much ag tech where you have an engineer, founder, group of people that have a great idea, but maybe they lack the experience of being boots on the ground and knowing. I think the biggest challenge, and we see this a lot because we've done so much sales training, is so how do you help that grain originator then have that conversation, lead the conversation with the grower, right,
right,
and help them adopt new technology and new things, right? That's a so you're up here at this manufacturing level creating this software, and now somehow you got to get a farmer to want to have that tool in their tool belt, right? And that's like, and you have two layers of communication, if not three, in between. And I think that's one of the big challenges we have with ag tech. We can talk more about that
totally.
down the road, but I think it puts you in it's great to have someone like you in that situation to be able to know how that chain of communication works and be able to see the strengths and the weaknesses that you have. So cool.
Yeah, I think it's so important to have people on the team that have worked with farmers, alongside farmers, maybe do farm, because we can't lose that touch with the actual user of whatever it is you're creating
Yeah.
and making sure that it's real and it solves something real for them.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Okay. That's all great and good information. Also, we're going a different direction in this episode than we do in
Yeah,
most of the other episodes. If those of you that listen regularly, we follow a fairly predictable like format for each show. We talk about culture and talent and we talk about people and books and podcasts and resources, and those are all well and good. Lacey and I were in a chat thread, I think, on LinkedIn, and it was around leadership. And I'm going to tee this up as best I can, Lacey, and then we'll just see where we go with it. But the gist of the conversation is, I mean, there's well, let's just say we from a leadership perspective in ag, and it's one of the reasons this podcast exists is we have to get better. Like
totally.
it's we just there's so much happening. And I'm just going to say this. I mean, with whether it be Maha and potential regulation coming into the situation that's potentially going to dictate how we do some things, or whether it just be the conversation around that and like, hey, how should we be as an industry leading that better? I think that's a conversation we should have been having a long time ago, but now we're forced to. So, that from whether it's that end of things to the advent of technologies like yours that are creating more automation and making life easier, um, to I think I talked, we've had Mark Washuk from Ag One Source on the podcast a couple of times now. And, one of the things, he shared with me, just the sheer number of ag retail CEOs that are due for retirement within the next 24, 36 months is in the dozens of
Yeah.
right? Dozens. I mean, talk like 5, 6 dozen that are due for retirement. So there's sort of this vacuum that's being created, and it's now becoming incumbent upon, I guess, our generation to solve for that. So we're just having a conversation around leadership. How do we got to get better? Where do we go with this? Like, how do we fix this? So that we have great organizations. And you've heard me say this, that I think leaders of today's companies have a moral obligation to create environments within which their people can thrive. So
Totally.
let's use that as the North Star. What's your observation? Where are we at? What do we need to fix? Let's just rip off the Band-Aid and get into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the things that ag, in my opinion, has been historically terrible at is creating this balance between support and autonomy for people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's like the magic recipe, right? Getting people in there that you give them what they need to thrive and grow, the tools, education, trainings, all those things, but also giving them enough ownership that they can feel meaningful connection to the work that they're doing, and want to really make a difference in it. When they can feel supported and tie back to that connection of why this is important work,
Mm-hmm.
you get this magical thing where people are very dedicated to working for the company and the purpose and for you as a leader. And I think we've been pretty terrible at that in ag.
Yeah.
Uh, there's like a lot of this, if I can't see you working, you're not working kind of vibe.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
so we've got to get better at those
Do you
things,
think?
in my
Do
opinion.
you think is it generational? Is it just lack of
Yeah.
trust? Is it not work? Is work not getting done? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, the work is definitely getting done, because
Mhm.
we're still seeing tons of fertilizer moved, seed put on the ground, all of that, grains being moved. Like the work is getting done. But I think that's one of the reasons why we have such a hard time hiring is because the economics are hard. Let's not get twisted on that. And so to get people the right work-life balance and all of that that make them want to work, it's a tough economic thing.
Mhm.
But as leaders, like that's why we get put in the position to figure out that problem and help solve for it. I
Yeah.
mean, you gotta do creative things like as an example, if you're running a shuttle loader facility and you have shuttles coming in where you need employees to be on call and work overnight, create incentive programs for them if they work those long hours and things like that. And that's not a new idea, but it's also not widely adopted either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So getting creative and helping the employees feel tied to the mission and what they're doing is important.
Yeah. And I think you really knowing like what is the big challenge that we're creating now. This is one of the conversations I've been trying to lead within some of our mastermind groups, and I've been trying to get going with other leaders. And that is like, so what is our North Star? Okay.
Mhm.
When you think about like when you and I came up in FFA and everything back in the high school days, like the pitch, at least the pitch to me in 1996 through 2000 when I was in wearing the blue jacket was feeding the world.
Right.
Right. This was the pitch. This was the like you sign up for the ag army and come do a job in this space and be a part of it. Like that's you're going to be a part of the most important thing that there possibly is. And the reality is like now fast forward 25 years, like we're doing that.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Biotech has created an environment where that's not as big of a problem anymore, right?
to the point where we almost have too much, right? There's so much abundance of we're looking for places we're creating markets that don't exist so that we can keep farming the way that we farm, right? That's the reality of the situation right now. And so the bigger problem that we have is like actually food distribution and probably even food waste when it comes to the stuff that humans actually put in their mouths. We literally waste half,
Right.
right? Half of the food. I remember, and I've said this on the show before, but one of the things is when Elon took over Twitter, nobody was going to the Twitter headquarters anymore to work. Everybody had gone to work from home, but the people who made the food in the kitchen were still getting paid to make the food in the kitchen. And so they were still making all of the food for all of the
Um,
Twitter employees and throwing it away at the end of every. We have things like that happening. We have so
yeah.
much abundance. It's so good in the world right now from a food perspective. Not that there aren't people that are in food deserts, and we have challenges. We've had Danny Leckie, by the way, on the show from Hatch for Hunger, and their mission is about helping get protein into food pantries. So
Sure.
they're working with ag industry partners to get eggs and chicken and things like that into places where it's typically only shelf stable food
Yeah.
items that are not the most healthy for people, right? So like but we have the ability to fund like we donate money to that cause and we're just a little company, but like our little few $1,000 donation creates thousands and thousands of meals for people. We can solve those problems, right, as an industry. So anyway, all that to say, like, what is the North Star now? Right, like what is the North Star of the ag industry overall? And then also what is and this is I think this is the leadership challenge. I want to bring this back to what we were talking about. So then like within your company and within your team as an intentional leader, what is your North Star? What is Bushel's North Star? What's the Momentum Company's North Star? What is CVA Co-op? I just had Nick McCarty on, who's the new CEO. Like we just finished his interview a bit ago. What's the North Star? And it's like if I know what that is, at least I know what the big problem is. And even if I have to do something uncomfortable for a minute, I'm generally willing to do that. I can put my nose to the grindstone and I'll work through it, but I got to know what the problem is.
Totally. I mean, there's a lot of talk around how do you motivate people and things like that. And it's
Mhm.
all about clarity. It's
Yes,
all
man.
about them having clarity around what the North Star or the mission is that you're working towards. And if people don't have that clarity, they are ineffective and frankly, they cannot have the passion that they need to for the cause.
Yeah.
And they're just showing up to work. They're punching a time clock, or they're not. And
Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
hiring challenges and things like that.
Yeah.
And, and especially in ag, word of mouth is such a important and big deal. And so if you're a co-op and you have a culture where all of your employees understand that North Star or that mission and they all feel passionate about it. And everybody, it's a buzz. Like you can feel it. The farmers that you're serving feel it. You get loyalty from that. It just trickles
Mhm.
down. And the opposite is true.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's so important as leadership for us to get really clear on what we want to do and what we're working on and how it's going to help people. I think that's kind of that shift when you talk about FFA and feeding the world. Now people care more about like how are we helping people?
Yeah.
And so as companies, we've got to think about that story and positioning that and how we tell that too.
Do you think, I think this has been on my mind lately. So I think do you think it's a challenge of nobody ever taught anybody in this industry to lead from abundance? Because
Yeah,
it's always been survival, right?
right.
And so what I'm challenged with lately is like, do we just keep recreating survival oriented problems because that's all we know, right? When if you just took a step back and said, hey, like I've done this to my business lately. It's like, hey, you can keep solving $2 million problems and you can have a $2 million business. Or it's like in the same amount of time with roughly the same amount of stress, you could go get some $100 million problems. And I haven't done this yet, but I'm like, you could and and have $100 million business eventually, right? So it's just like, what kind of problems do you want to wake up and solve every day? And if
So,
we actually, but we live in a world now where that's optional. You can
yeah,
choose what type of problems you want to lean into and have for yourself to be able to go and solve.
yeah.
Like we've
Uh,
never had that. This is a pure luxury that we live in right now. I mean, and I think maybe that's part of the hang up is we've never, like nobody's got a training program on how to lead from sheer abundance.
Well, yeah, I think as leaders, you get in this like doing what you've done pattern or what whoever taught
Yeah,
you,
we
what
all
did
do.
they do? And you fall into that. But I think it's our responsibility as leaders to continue to learn. Uh,
Mhm.
like there's nothing more toxic, in my opinion, than a leader who feels like they've learned everything and they've arrived. Uh,
Mhm.
we should all always be learning and growing. And um, part of that is learning what the new big problems are and being willing to like step in and tackle those. And maybe that's just adjusting your addressable market to your point. Like
Mhm.
maybe for the longest time it worked to go tackle these smaller deals, but now I need to think about how do I solve for deals at this different size and scope and
Mhm.
serve those well. And I think genuine curiosity is a good characteristic of a leader because that helps with keeping that continual like learning going.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm speaking from experience, but everything you're saying right now is like feels exactly true because for the last decade, I basically solved the same problem over and over. It's like, how do we get people to come to the Thriving Leader program? And it's great. Like it's a great program. For some, it's a life-changing transformational program. For others, it changes the culture of their business. It's a good program. We're about to run the 150th in Sioux
Wow, that's
150th
cool.
in Sioux Falls, South Dakota in August in like a month and a half. So
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And I was looking through the email list for a new promotion the other day and like individually selecting the right people to market to. And I had to go through 3,000 names of people that have
Oh,
like gone through or been touched by that program. It's like, okay, like it doesn't seem like it when you're putting 10 people at a time in a room,
mhm. Yeah,
for a 2 day training. But man, we do that 300 days a year sometimes, like, or see, when we've done that over 300 days in total over, the last decade, like that's a lot. And
yeah.
so anyway, my point with all this is, so we're getting ready. I'm validating a new service as we speak that will be a lead in to all of our other things that we do. And so it's a little bit more SaaS, a little bit more of a software kind of product. It's a bit more AI. It's a bit lower price point than I'm used to selling, but we think so. We're in the validation phase. Is like as of July 1, when we're validating. By the time this comes out, we may have gone to market. I don't know, but uh, it has been so exciting to have a new problem to wake up and solve every day.
It's fun. That's what makes it fun, right?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, that's one of the main things I've loved about working at Bushel is the continued innovation. And I think like we have to be careful as leaders because those things that you've been doing for so long, if they're still working, it's very tempting to just keep
Yeah,
on the same track, right?
it
Uh,
is.
and also it's harder work to roll up your sleeve and try something new.
Yeah.
Um,
Agreed.
and do it in a way that is well thought out and has good business sense and good potential for ROI, all of that. Like doing the due diligence to do it correctly. I wouldn't recommend just jumping off and rolling the dice, but I do think that you have to be able to put aside that temptation to just stick to what you've always done.
Hmm. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Now, maybe easy for us to say we're an innovative service-based companies that are trying to change the game. Maybe you work at a co-op and you're leading a team or a location, or you are a grain originator and you don't have influence over some of these things, or whatever the case may be. Actually, I'm literally specifically thinking about people I know that listen to the show that are grain originators that are,
Yeah.
hey Mike, that are that reach out and tell me, right, like, hey, thanks for making the show, keep making, keep doing it, whatever, it helps out. But maybe you don't have a lot of influence over creating new problems for yourself, or maybe you're leading a business that just doesn't change that much, and it's just the type of business that's got to get the crops sprayed, it's got to get the grain bought, it's got to get things moved from point A to point B, whatever that looks like for your part of the business, that are just like, this is the brass tacks of the ag industry. How do we help those folks? This is a
Yeah.
super unfair question because I don't even know the answer, but
It's not. I think the good thing is I've sat in a lot of those seats you mentioned. I
yeah.
am in a weird like software seat today. It's not weird, but
Yeah.
I I think I'm the weird one who has also had those experiences. And so what I can say is even if you're doing a job that doesn't have formalized leadership, you can
Yep.
still be a leader. So I know you've read Jocko Willink or listened to him, and
Yeah.
you can lead up, right?
Yep.
So I think a great example of something that me and a sales agronomist did back in the day when I worked at Cargill. So I was a grain originator. Um, we buddied up. Like we decided we were going to go tackle these farms together. And
Nice. Yep.
we would out of 5 days a week, we would be in the pickup together 3 days and we would just go and we would meet with the farmer and we would talk through the whole farm plan together.
Mhm.
And you would be shocked at the loyalty we were able to drive from that because the farmer really looked at us as trusted partners instead of that transactional salesperson.
Yep.
Um, and so I think that those people that maybe feel like they can't influence change or leadership because they just have this same job year over year, you do have opportunities to be entrepreneurial in the way that you're going about your job and
Yeah.
take a different tact.
Yeah. Yep. I could not agree more. I mean, here's what's really cool about the world that we're living into right now is I think you can, even just within your role, even if you think your role is not that extravagant, but man, like, I mean, where are you creating efficiencies for yourself or for your customers with technology?
Totally.
Simple things, like, I mean, my proposal writing process, I would go in and do a discovery conversation with a company like yours. You and I would sit down with your CEO and we'd talk for an hour and a half, and we'd ask all the questions, um, and sometimes that would even have to be in person. And then we take that and I go back and I take all the information and I have to sit down and think it all through and write the proposal. Now we sit down on a 60-minute Zoom call, I ask all the questions, you give me all the inputs, and I take all that and I plug it into an AI that I taught to write my style of proposal. And that it took me maybe half a day to set that up one time a year ago, and now my proposal writing takes me 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's great. Uh,
So
I
much time
thought
you can save.
when you were explaining that, I thought of another cool example. So I have worked for a leader who always insisted that everybody in the company give a report of what they did for the week. Okay.
Okay.
And
Yep.
we had CRM implemented. So people
Sure.
were already plugging in their notes of what they were doing.
Yeah.
This leader wanted a summarized report, and this was before AI. So
Yeah. Oh gosh.
now
Yeah.
you have all that you need to be able to pull those notes out and create a sentiment report and deliver it. In fact, you could do that for the whole company very easily and give the CEO the one report. And so they could have a good handle on what's happening out in the country, what do they need to be paying attention to, all of those things.
Yeah.
And so back to like earlier, we talked a little bit about being creative. You've
Hmm.
got to continue to keep an open mind to be able to be creative and find new solutions to tackle
Yes,
some
please.
problems that we thought were just part of our day-to-day work and they weren't going to be solved.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. And so, by the way, this is my challenge to everybody is so as you create some of these efficiencies for yourself, make damn sure that you're actually then penciling in some of that time savings for actual work-life balance.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. If you're getting let's say 2 hours back in your week from a simple automation that you created, like that doesn't mean you have to do more things.
Get the win from it,
Yeah.
you
Like,
know, reap
yep.
the reward.
Exactly. So I give you an example. So I decided to quit drinking back in December. December 30th, had my last glass of wine. Okay.
Nice.
And not like a big problem. I just felt like it was degrading my overall ability to be as effective. And I turned 44 not even a month ago. And I said, like 43 years, like I've known what it's like to be this way. I'm just interested in seeing who I can become, right?
Sure.
Without the distraction. So not here to say this is what everybody else should do, but that's what I should do. So I have a little app, right? And it tracks like, and every day I just check in, right? And just the app is called I Am Sober. And um, I put in a calculation of about an hour and a half per day that I feel like I'm getting of extra productivity by being more clear every day. Okay.
Sure.
So I'm not getting more time, but I'm getting a better quality of time, right?
Right.
So I have now, as of July 1st, I'm 6 months into this. I've got 11 days of extra time this year.
Heck yeah.
I'm
Nobody's going to be mad about that.
like, I mean, it's like so, and it's just better quality, and I can apply that time to whatever I want. And the other day it was a Sunday afternoon, and my wife was out of town. The kids didn't want to go hang out. I'm like, I just had Sunday afternoon, and normally, like, I'm thinking like I would have had a couple glasses of wine, maybe three on a Saturday night, just enjoying myself. It would have been more lethargic on Sunday. We got up, we went to church, did the thing, but I'd probably come home and like at best mow my yard and then chill for the Sunday afternoon, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm gonna like I was feeling actually restless. So I grabbed my paddleboard, I go to the lake. And I just
Nice.
had 2 hours, me, God, and my paddleboard and just quiet time, right? I mean, it's just like the quality of life is now improving. So all this to say, like, it's just whatever technology, whatever behavior change you want to implement in your life to have a better quality, like actually go use it. This is part of, so I think to keep it on point with the conversation for today, um, as leaders, it's incumbent upon us to encourage people to do so.
Yes. I think, and also set the boundaries and
Mm.
do them ourselves. So
Yeah.
uh don't be emailing people after whatever time you decide is the right time. And even if
Mhm.
you don't expect for them to respond to you, it still sends a signal to them. And we have to be intentional about that culture that we want to drive, and it starts with us as leaders.
Yep.
Uh, and we give our employees the freedom to have those boundaries too, which full circle makes it to where you have employees that are more loyal to and want to stay, and you
Yep.
retain them and all of that good stuff.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And one of the ways you can solve for that, by the way, is also just by being even more clear with your leadership and making sure everybody's actually on the same page with what needs to get done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things we say in our business is if it's not on a page, then we're not on the same page. And so actually write it down and communicate it effectively, have a conversation and say, cool, this is what success looks like. So when the project is done, this is what should be done. And and it's like, man, when I know that and my project, and I can actually check that box and I can go enjoy myself and not have to worry about it over the weekend, hopefully. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, and And this is especially in a SaaS or tech environment, there's always that temptation to like just chase the next cool thing that you get an idea about.
yeah,
But you just said is so true. Like keep that focus on what your big picture is. And
yeah,
if it doesn't point to that, then okay, maybe
exactly.
put it like over here for later, but it doesn't need to make it on this page.
Yep. Listen, totally guilty of that. I mean, I had a meeting with my team on Monday and I was like, so, we're moving forward on this thing that we're validating. And I was like, so here's clearly where we're at right now. And I could just see like their shoulders drop and they could relax a little bit because I've been talking about all the ideas, but they're like, crap, like what's Mark going to make us do now? Like, where are we going to go? What are we doing with this? What do I need to do with this? How do I need to talk about it? And I'm like, all right, this is the stage that we're at. It's MVP. We're creating this. We're not writing software. We're not doing anything else. Like we're just creating and they're like, okay, I can take a deep breath. I know what I can do with that. Right.
Yeah,
That
right.
helps. So I think a lot of leaders get a lot of big ideas. We start to implement a lot of change, and it's probably necessary. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but man, how you communicate it, how you roll it out, you got to be so intentional.
Definitely. Yeah, and one of the things that I see is also the trap of how, as a leader, do you plug into understanding how it's getting executed and continuing to empower people to execute on their own, but still checking in and making sure it's going down the path that you want to. And that's really tricky to do well, because people can feel like you're correcting them at every move and all of that. And so you've got to be very intentional about the way you keep tying it back to the main mission that we're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
uh,
Agreed.
instead
Which
of micromanaging.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, and it's like nobody wants to have to micromanage. So if you
Yeah.
do these things, these pieces of setup on the front end, then you just don't have to.
Right.
Uh, unless your ego is so big that you feel like you have to oversee everything. And that's a coaching conversation. That is not a
Yeah.
that's
That's a
not an
whole other.
employee issue. What do you think? What's the role for leaders for those? I don't care if they're in the co-op, if they're independent, if they're in ag tech. What's the role of coaching, development, mentorship at like your level? Like what do you think what's the need?
I think it's gotta always be happening. I don't think that we should ever stop doing that with for our leaders and for our employees that roll up to those leaders. I think everybody, like I said earlier, needs to continue to grow and learn.
Yeah,
And so you may say, like, well, who's going to do that inside of my company? And so then you might have to enlist resources outside the company, of
sure.
course.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
like
We're always okay when that happens.
yeah, I mean, like your CEO, for an example, well, who's above them in your company that's going to be objective and be able to help them learn and grow? You're going to
Yep.
have to seek outside help.
Of course.
But for the employees, I think we have mentorship programs that we run continuously, and that's huge. It's nice for them to have somebody maybe that's not inside of their division or business unit that they can talk to and trust, and it really helps. But I think continually having formalized education and training for folks too is really important.
Yeah, big time, big time, big time. I think it's really important for those CEOs to be looking at some sort of executive coaching option,
Yeah,
sounding board, a place to go. We have one with our Ag Leader Summit, which is for more like mid-level to VP level folks, but it's like it's a place outside the company to go and get input on the thing that you're going through.
yeah,
And sometimes you can't bring that up to
no,
your employees. And your husband or wife only wants to hear about it for so long. It's not,
right.
it's nice to hear have somewhere else to go that feels safe, I guess, to be able to be a little bit more vulnerable. And it's tough to do that inside the walls of the company sometimes. So I think that's something I'd recommend for really anybody. That's a
Yeah.
trajectory. So
I would say like one of the biggest hurdles in my career has been when I have a situation where as a leader, I maybe don't like the direction we're going or don't like the direction I've been given, but I also am still having to lead my team in that direction. And so it's this need to be able to lead in both directions. And also having somebody from the outside in that situation is so helpful,
yeah,
to your point, because they can be objective. They're not emotionally tied to the people and the history and all of that. And you can run things by them and they can help you take it in a way that steps outside of the box a little bit.
yeah. Perspective is massively important because if
Mm.
if you're always in that same echo chamber looking at your same ideas, I mean, despite like even like with our new product launch, I've been scheduling calls with our target market and just saying, hey, can you help me validate this? I'm not going to
Right.
sell you anything. Can you just, this is the idea, this is what it does, this is the problem it solves. Good idea or bad idea? Like, let me know and give me feedback. And I've changed it a number of times because of the feedback that we're getting. Like, I can't see what is it? It's hard to read the label from inside the jar. Is that what
Right.
they said? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just not wise to go about it that way.
Exactly. Good stuff. All right, my friend. This has been a vibrant conversation. We've covered everything from the North Star of the ag industry, which, by the way, I don't know that we have. I don't think we solved that. I want to create a bigger conversation around that at some point, not just with us, but with just in the industry. It's got to happen. I think we're so lost right now. It can't. Like for so long, we've just been about more, right?
Sure.
And I just we're stuck in a system that demands more. So that's what we have to keep doing.
Yeah.
uh, that just doesn't feel like the real North Star. And we got to figure that out. We covered that. I mean, all kinds of stuff on leadership. It's been really cool, fun conversation. Any last thoughts that you want to
Yeah.
leave the group?
I think everybody, I've said this a number of times in this conversation, but I would just encourage everyone to be humble enough to continue to learn and grow. Um,
Good.
whether that's reading a book or having a coach or self-reflection, like all of those things help you continue to learn and grow. And um, I would not be where I'm at if I didn't practice that as a discipline. So,
Yeah.
so
What do you do?
important.
What do you do for self reflection? Are you a journaler?
I do it a lot via prayer.
Yeah. Good.
And it's all day throughout the day. And yeah, I do try to journal what I've been praying about and how the outcomes
Love
are
it.
coming in. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So cool. I love it. Do you know what I do now is I'll go for we live on this like 3 mile loop and I'll go walk the loop through our neighborhood, walk the dog early in the morning. And I
nice.
literally just like, I just dump, I turn on my little transcriptor app on my phone. I just dump whatever's coming up,
Yeah.
just frustrations, stuff to do today, things I'm behind on, things where I'm winning, stuff that's got to get done. And I just talk. And sometimes I don't talk at all. I won't talk for 15 minutes, but I keep the recorder on and then I'll talk it and then I dump it all into Chat GPT later. And so probably GPT knows all my dirty laundry at this point, but it's like, I'm talking to God, I'm talking to myself, I'm, screaming, yelling, talking quietly, whatever, praying as I go. And now I have like a whole document that just has all that stuff. And I just take the transcript and I dump it right in there, organizes all my thoughts for me. And it's super helpful.
I mean, again, that's like the being creative to use these resources
They're
for
all
something
around.
that's hugely helpful in your life.
Yeah, big time. Cool. All right. Thanks for being on, Lacey. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you so much. Good luck with everything at Bushel.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.